Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review Debt Collectors. And this is from writer-director Jesse V. Johnson, who is a former stuntman and has done stunt work for other films like The Amazing Spider-Man. And not until I looked it up on IMDb a little bit into the film did I realize that this is actually a sequel to The Debt Collector, because this was originally supposed to be called The Debt Collector 2. See, if they kept that title, I would have realized, oh, this is a sequel. And to be perfectly honest, I probably wouldn't have went out of my way to watch it, since I probably wouldn't have went out of my way to watch some small action film from 2018 with so many other films going on, coming out. But I look at Debt Collectors, I'm like, oh, okay. This looks like an action movie starring Scott Adkins, who I've started to see pop up a lot in these VOD action films, and he actually has quite a bit of charisma. He was just in that Max Cloud film as well, and I enjoyed him a bit because I felt like he was kind of forgettable in Expendables 2. He was matched up with Jason Statham, and they were head to head fighting each other in that film while Jean-Claude Van Damme was fighting Sylvester Stallone. But he didn't really get to show his charisma, and honestly, in this film, he feels a little like Jason Statham, except a little bigger. And I'm like, wish there's more films where you saw him like this. And then you also have his partner, so he plays French, and you also have Sue, played by Louis Mandylor, who is one of the guys from My Big Fat Greek Wedding. I'm like, he looks so familiar, and then I looked up on IMDb, I'm like, oh. And Adkins has his MMA background, and then Mandylor has a boxing background. And this film brings these two back together after they've done work together in the past collecting debts, and they're set off on this story that for the most part is pretty just straightforward of go to this place, collect, action. Go to this place, collect, action. Go to this place and collect, action. And it's okay, it's nothing special in terms of the story, but they do a couple of different things to shake it up and make this point a little bit more interesting. And they even have a couple of little bits of inspired storytelling on what gives more perspective on what they're doing, and also builds on the first film, giving this a little bit more weight, as it does connect back to one of the characters from the first film. Usually I'm not a huge fan of movies intercutting shots from the first film to be here's the thing we're trying to point out. But as somebody who didn't watch the first film, now I realize why they usually have those is because you can just pick it up and hop in. And that's the thing I do appreciate about this film, that it is set up in a way that you can watch it without having seen the first film, but you still, this honestly could have just been a film, and you get right away the chemistry between Adkins and Mandylor, that there's history between French and Sue, and it's you get that, and you honestly don't need a whole first film to really pick up on that. They jump right in, they have great chemistry, they kick into gear. It could have just been a story about these two former buddies who work together, and now they're back in action together. And there's some fun other performances, like Vernon Wells from Mad Max Mad Max the Road Warrior is in here, and who played the big Mohawk guy. He was in it for a bit, and it's this film has really solid action in it. There's also a really awesome scene where you actually get to see Mandylor and Adkins fight each other, and that was the highlight of the film. I'm like, yes! This film's a lot more interesting action-wise when it's hand-to-hand combat. There's some shootouts and stuff like that, and they're not anything special, but those fighting scenes are really cool. And you can tell Jesse V. Johnson knows what he's doing in terms of putting those stunts together. And you have two actors that could really hold their own doing them. So, honestly, this film is shot well, it's edited well. It really has some really strong, honestly, fight scenes hand-to-hand. And it's a pretty engaging story with two very charismatic performances at the forefront with Scott Adkins and Louis Lewis Mandylor. So honestly, I really enjoyed enjoyed Debt Collectors, and might go back and check out the first one because I'm like, I did enjoy this movie quite a bit, and I love action movies, so this really grabbed my attention. And for all those action fans out there, this is one not to skip. Go check it out on VOD right now. Fortunately, I had to buy it for $4.99, but like most movies on Amazon Prime to actually rent that are new releases are at least $5. So I'm like, it is what it is. I could always enjoy watching it again. But those are my thoughts on Debt Collectors. Let me know what you think. Let's talk some movies. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland reviewer.